Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
This is the Poltergeist. I'm the vocalist for Terrorbyte, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews, and today it's an honor and a privilege to have the Poltergeist. He is the vocalist of Terrorbyte. Cinematic metal industrial band Terrorbyte has released the official music video for their single Worldstar off their upcoming full-length album, Crimewave. We're going to be talking to the Poltergeist about this and about Terrorbyte and all the good stuff about that. So welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you? Thanks for having me.
Doing awesome. Glad to have you on the show. Like I told you previously, it's very hard for me to stay impressed with new stuff that's out there. But like I said, man, I could put this track of your guys' Worldstar and not have to skip it. I mean, it's that good to me. So kudos, man.
Yeah, thank you. It means a lot to hear that for sure.
How's it been working with tag publicity so far?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty much every day. You know, I'm getting email interviews, phone interviews, so it's definitely been a good time. And Tom and Trace are really good people. They're a lot of fun to work with.
I want to bring this up because I saw this and I wanted your take on it. And as I quote, Worldstar is meant to be a big middle finger to all the people and circumstances in our lives who don't believe in us and try to tear us down. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I cannot stand when people try to knock someone down when they believe in something and they want to try to do something.
Yeah, basically the whole concept of the band and one of the main things it's about is we're kind of like the anti-heroes, you know, like a lot of the people in the band, myself included, you know, coming up, especially in the music scene in our town where we live, you know, we weren't the people that everyone liked, you know, we weren't the popular people, and everyone kind of wanted to see us fail, and over time, you know, we turned it all around, and we're like, all right, you want to make us the bad guy, then we're going to be the bad guy, and then we just started taking everything to the extreme, and, you know, push, you know, our skills, our talents, and our vision as far as we can go, and now, you know, we're the ones playing sold-out shows and having the craziest shit happen, and, you know, we're doing really well with that, and basically the whole message is for anybody out there that, you know, does kind of feel like an underdog or feels like oppressed or, you know, like they got the odds against them. You know, we just want to set an example that you really can beat the odds and give everybody the finger and just say fuck you to everyone that hates you, and you can use all that hate and negativity people throw on you and kind of, you know, pull a judo move and reverse it back around on them.
Yeah, and I can't stand it, man. I'm always about supportiveness. You know, I don't care if you want to be a carry-out. I don't care if you want to be a cashier. If that's what you want to do, I'm going to support you, you know, because I've had so much people do me the same way, and it pisses me off. So I'm glad to see you guys turn that around into a positive and said, you know,
Definitely.
Fuck yeah, I'm just going to do what we're going to do. And I like that. So kudos to you again, man.
Thank you.
So you guys have released the official music video for the single Worldstar, of course. Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs on this upcoming album? Which one would be the first single and video? And what did you want that first song to say for you, for the ones who have not heard of Terrorbyte's music as of yet?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult to pick a first single because, I mean, we went back and forth so many times, you know, and during the recording process, you know, we would have some songs fully finished and we would have an idea like, you know, we're going to use this song as the single. And then as time went on, before it was time to actually release one, you know, another song would kind of attach to us, or we were thinking like, now maybe we should go with this. And then also, you know, you kind of gauge the climate, like the societal climate of like, you know, because writing this album was, you know, about a year-long process, and over the course of that year, so many things evolve that are going on in the world, and it's like, you know, you always want to come from a place of sincerity. You don't want to do something or release something just because that's what's trending. You want it to come from a sincere place, but you also want people to be able to relate to it. So, you know, things that were going on were, you know, you got to pay attention to the shifts in society and things like that. And we ended up landing on Worldstar because, you know, obviously the message of being oppressed, or, you know, people not believing in you and kind of turning around and just saying, you know what, fuck you, we're going to succeed anyway. That's kind of a universal and timeless theme. And so that's one of the reasons we chose that single. And the other reason is because, you know, anyone that has followed us from our last release, our FUFM EP, there was really metalcore influence. It did have a lot of hip-hop influence in EDM, but there was a lot of metalcore on there. And as we're moving forward, we're never gonna discard the metal influence. The metal influence is always gonna be there. But on this album particularly, the album is a lot more like hip-hop influence and electronic influence as well. And we felt that Worldstar kind of was a really good overall representation of the direction our sound was going to go for this album cycle. So that's kind of why we chose that track.
Are there any songs from the other EP that's on this album that's gonna be on this album, or no? These are totally new, fresh ones.
No, this is that EP that came out. It was a 4-song EP. It's called FUFM. That is in and of itself a release in its own entity. And this new album, Crimewave, it's 13 brand new tracks. None of them are recycled. None of them are from the EP. So these are 2 separate releases. So there's going to be 13 completely new tracks on this album.
Any song standing out more to you than any right now possible on this new album? I know it must change every time you listen to it, but other than Worldstar, do you have a few that stand out for you maybe?
No, not. I mean, they all hit me the same. It's kind of like asking you if you love, you know, any one of your children more than another one. You know, maybe there's some people out there that you know, are inclined to say so, but you know, in general, no, like they all are really, really personal, and they all come from, you know, really personal experiences, and they were, each and every one of them individually, you know, were my way of, you know, working out these specific things I was going through. So there's not any of these tracks that I feel are better or less than the others. I mean, I put everything 110% into them. So it's all killer. There's no filler. There was no track on there that was like, you know, we got to fill some space. Everything is just balls to the wall, putting every fiber of your being into this. So they all are equal in and of themselves to me.
Who did the artwork for this album, or who is doing the artwork for this album?
That's myself, and
Okay.
we had another artist on there called, his name's Scott Garland, and his company is just called The Art of Scott R. Garland. I came up, and even with the video, I came up with the concept for the music video. You know, I wrote the treatment out and helped the director, like, kind of flesh out the concept. Our last album, I had the concept for the artwork, and same thing for this. And what I did is I sat down with Scott, and, you know, I told him the vision I had. And fun fact, no one really knows this yet, but everyone in the band is kind of like really big video game heads, especially like retro games.
Yeah.
And the cover of the album is actually a nod to a scene from a video game. I don't know if you've ever heard of Streets of Rage.
Yeah, Lord, yeah, Sega. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, hell yeah. There's a scene from that game where the main villain is standing with his hands over the city. There's like a hologram of the city.
Yeah.
And that album cover is kind of like a little nod to that. And we make, you know, little video game references here and there throughout the album too. So, you know, there's just like little nods to things like that, you know, kind of have a special place in our hearts. So I had that concept for it. And I sat down with Scott and I told him, you know, like what I wanted to see. And then he came up, you know, with ideas he had from what he was hearing from me, and we just kind of sat side by side and got it where we wanted it to be. And some of the ideas were purely his. The CD itself, when you open the case, there's our ghost face insignia on the cover of the actual disc itself. and the eye of the ghost is a hole where, you know, it would rest into your CD player, and it kind of has this like exoskeleton Terminator vibe, because a lot of the themes on the album, you know, have to do with things like that as well. So both he and I sat down and did that. And if anyone wants to check him out, his company is called The Art of Scott R. Garland, and you can find him on Facebook. It's really good.
I want to tell you right now, Streets of Rage was by far one of my favorite games on Sega Genesis, man. I'll tell you that right now. And I actually got the game that Xbox One put out for their Xbox Live stuff. They had it out on it, and I went, holy shit, you got to be kidding me. And,
yeah.
Dude, I play that game still to this day.
Oh, same. We had that running in the studio when we were playing. We in the living room there, because the studio we recorded in is like a 3-story building, and there's like living quarters and different studios you can walk into and everything. But in the living room, we had a modded Nintendo Wii. It had like all the Sega games, all the SNES games, and we were playing Streets of Rage like in between breaks and all that. So yeah, we were rocking that game pretty recently ourselves.
And my favorite all-time Nintendo game has to be Tecmo Super Bowl. That
yeah.
That game was mine. I loved it. And I still don't think there's a football game, and people's going to hate me when I say this, for the nostalgic. I still am 1-0 to that game. That is, you know, that's me. That's mine. Love it.
Yeah, I remember that game. That one, man, we're really dating ourselves with that one. That's a long time ago. But I remember, I don't even think I could figure out how to play that shit. That game was, the controls on that, so difficult.
Oh yeah, it's like, you know, you get the Raiders and you get Bo Jackson. That's it. You run the ball, you just run side to sideline, and that's it. You're done. You're gone. You're gone for a touchdown. So I'm going to have to break out my game systems again, man. Oh, so what about producing wise on this album? Are you guys going to produce it yourselves, or what's going on with this?
Oh, the album's done. It's already been produced. We produced it at a place called Octopus Studio, and the head engineer on it is Justin Spalding. He did the production. He mixed it. It was mastered by a guy named Jocko that works there. And Octopus Studio is inside of More Sound Studio, so they kind of like work in conjunction with each other. But Justin Spalding did all the production on it, and it's really, really good. I couldn't be happier with it. And, you know, I feel really lucky that we got to work with him.
So working with him, Poltergeist, did he bring out anything in you guys that you felt was there, but it just wasn't getting out, and he brought it out of you guys maybe?
I think the opposite. I think he was trying to keep some stuff in. I think he was getting a little overwhelmed with the intensity when we were in there. But no, in all seriousness, well, part of it, I mean, that is true, what I just said. But no, in all seriousness, there's definitely things that he was able to do, you know, that we wouldn't, you know, have. You know, when you work with an artist, you know, they think really outside the box, and you know, it's really abstract thinking. So like, there's not really any two artists that are exactly alike. And when you find someone that's on your level and you get to work with them, you know, their mode of thinking or you know, their ability to perceive things is so alien to what your own might be that, you know, they kind of open up doors that you didn't even know were there. So, you know, working with him kind of allowed things to happen that, you know, if it were just ourselves or was somebody completely different, you know, wouldn't have been there. But he's definitely, I mean, he's phenomenal producer.
How much growth musically have you seen this band, and including yourself, go through from the previous EP to the release of this album? Or has it just been more just a personal growth for all of you involved in this?
No, it's definitely, there's a big difference I see. When we released the EP, I felt that we were at a really good level. I mean, and I don't mean this with any arrogance at all. I'm actually, you know, I try to be as humble as possible at all times, but that this album, you know, I've been doing music on and off, you know, for probably the past 15 years of my life. And this was the very first time when we released the first Terrorbyte album that I actually was like, all right, like I'm happy with where I'm at, what I'm able to do. And, you know, I hold myself to a very high standard, and I felt like I finally was reaching, you know, my own standards. And when we started working on this new album, I mean, I thought I knew what working hard was before, and I gave because this album, the full length, with the 13 tracks as opposed to just a 4-song EP, took so much more out of me personally and everybody else I know. And I mean, you just had to dig so deep and go to places you never, depths of working hard that you never thought even existed. And then on top of that, just really having to be proficient at your craft, like as far as introducing rapping and just the quality of writing and making sure that nothing's filler, and doing that on 13 tracks as opposed to 4 tracks. And, just taking, you have an EP that's so extreme and so over the top, and obviously every work that you do after that needs to trump the one before it. So, just trying to find ways like, how can we make this even more intense? How can we make this even more raw? There was definitely a lot of growth that happened. And, especially with our live shows too, when we first started performing, we thought like, oh yeah, like, our show was crazy tonight. But, with the release of this new album, wanting to take everything to the next level, even us as physical performers live on stage, and, how that translates to a crowd and everything, we really had to kind of cut ourselves apart and analyze everything. And, how can we make this more exciting? How can we make this better? How can we hit people harder? So there's definitely been enormous amounts of growth on all fronts for everybody in the band.
Do you do anything differently during the writing and recording process to help keep your mind fresh and open, to not let the music get stale, to not get bored with it? I mean, I know these are two different things, but do you do anything differently that helps you out, maybe, possibly?
Not differently this time around. I just tried to do what I did the last time, just on a deeper level. And that's kind of like, I'll tell you, something that has inspired me and everybody in the band. Are you familiar with the Dark Knight series? Like with, Heath Ledger as the Joker and all that?
Yeah, for sure, man, yeah.
Yeah, something about those movies, like, watching them and just the kind of mood it put me in, and how there's kind of like that gray area, like with a lot of the villains in the movie, sometimes the villains make too much sense where you almost don't even view them as the bad guy per se. Sometimes you wonder, like, you're like, wow, what this person is saying and what they're about actually makes a lot of sense to me, where I'm questioning like who's right and who's wrong. In this band in particular, a lot of this stuff comes from a very concentrated particular part of myself, whereas previous projects I've been in, where I don't necessarily want to say more lighthearted, but they were less oppressive, I guess. So being in this particular project, I have to really concentrate my psyche in a very specific part of myself, and I kind of got to let go and just take all the buffers off and kind of take all the shackles off and just let the most ugly, scary parts of myself just run rampant. And I really immersed myself in that, and it kind of reminded me of like what Heath Ledger did, playing the Joker. I mean, he really had to go into a dark place, and it affected him. And it was the same thing for me, tracking this album. I really had to take all the shackles off, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, and just be as raw and real as possible, no matter, how abrasive that may be to other people that are hearing it. So that's pretty much what I did.
I got to say, and I'm not taking anything away from the interview. I don't want to skip out or anything like that. So folks, don't take this the wrong way. But Heath Ledger, best Joker that there was in a Batman movie. Hands down, in my opinion. Like you said, man, when he went to his dark place for that movie, couldn't have done a better job at it, man. Seriously.
I draw myself, even though he wasn't a singer, just myself as an artist, somebody that wants to express things or affect people, in a really powerful, tangible way. I draw a lot of inspiration from him as a singer and an artist myself, because when I saw that movie, there's different mediums of art. Some of them are sonic, some of them are visual, some of them are written. No matter the medium, the intent is the same. It's to make people feel something. It's to connect with people. And I remember the very first time that I ever saw, his portrayal of the Joker, it hit me so hard and it affected me, on a really visceral level. So definitely props to him. He's a massive inspiration for me as an artist.
What can fans expect at a show from Terrorbyte who have not got to see you guys live as of yet? What are they going to get when they come out to see you guys?
Chaos. It's, I kind of liken going to our shows It makes me feel like I felt, as a child going to see WWF. I mean, there's stuff flying everywhere. There's people flying everywhere. The majority of our concert, half the band is off the stage more than we're on it. And, in the video for Worldstar, the live footage in that video is actual, just raw footage from shows that we played. I mean, you can see it. We're, smashing instruments. We're jumping off speakers. We're crowd surfing while we're playing. And, fans tend to do the same too. It's not uncommon for, people to hop up on there with us or climb on stuff. So it's just chaos, and it's really cathartic for everyone.
We're living in the digital era of recording albums to get music out quicker. And plus now we got social media to reach out to more folks. Do you like this that we're living in now, especially with the digital side of this, to get albums out quicker and plus social media to reach out to more folks who have not got to hear of Terrorbyte as of right now?
It's a double-edged sword, because in one aspect, it does. The aspect I like about it is you definitely can reach more people. And that should be your ultimate goal. You want to reach as many people as possible. You want to affect as many people as possible. So that part of it is good. But the bad part of it is it makes it more difficult to succeed, because, back, in the 90s, 80s, if you were a really solid project, you would get picked up easier and put on a higher platform, because things weren't as accessible back then. And now, I mean, everybody's accessible, and just there's the sheer volume of good artists. I mean, you can go online and find, kids that recorded an album in their mother's basement that sounds phenomenal, and the writing is phenomenal, and the production is phenomenal. But then there's thousands of other people like that are all flooding the internet at the same time. So, there's just the sheer volume of artists out there, you get lost in it. And so it's a balancing act. It's definitely awesome that everyone can become accessible, but there's so much material available online in the digital age that we all end up blotting each other out, because there's just too much to enjoy everything all at once,
So for you, what made you want to become a musician? What was it spark for you that said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there?
I think what it was is, when I was younger, there's a VHS tape I have of, I think it was my third Christmas. I was 3 years old, and I specifically asked for a microphone. And, I remember seeing people singing on TV or performing on TV, or I even remember just hearing music when I was a really small child, and I remember having a very extreme emotional reaction to it. And, being a singer specifically, not to be too heavy or anything, but I've had a pretty dark life, and I've experienced a lot of trauma, basically as soon as I got here, right from the jump, being born, and that, it triggers your fight or flight response, and some people want to curl up and they don't want to be heard and they want to hide, and that's how they cope with it. And the other people with the fight response, they want to be heard, and they want to fight against it, and they want to stir things up. And I went, the fight route, and I just knew, early on that there were things inside of me that I really wanted to express, and I really wanted to be heard. And I always had this feeling that I wanted to help other people, and inspire that in them as well. And the voice is as far as being a human being, our voice is pretty much our most powerful tool of communication. So I was just naturally inclined. I just knew I want to be a singer.
How much local support does Terrorbyte get via venues and airplay, if anything, possibly?
That's very interesting. So locally, in our city in particular, our shows, as far as our fans go, are amazing. We'll play a show at the biggest, I guess it's the second biggest venue here now, because another one recently started doing stuff. But we've played sold-out shows where we were the headliner in our own city, and that's a great feeling. And, it's cool, like going to the grocery store or something, and you see people walking around wearing your T-shirt, and you walk by them and they have no idea who you are. I love that. But there's also, unfortunately, there's a lot of drama, a lot of politics in the music scene here. And, the sad thing about it is that sometimes it feels like high school. There's just a lot of haters, a lot of people that, you can be nothing but kind to people, and we are. You know, we don't view music and art as a sporting event. It's not like we're a team trying to take your team out or trying to one up you. Obviously, everybody wants to perform at their best. Everybody wants to be the best, but it's not about, oh, we're going to crush these other bands. It's like we want to elevate them. We want to create a music in our community where, you know, people, there's a lot of different things that can affect people in different ways, and we want to give them access to that. But unfortunately, when you start doing well for yourself, you know, people try to tear you down, people shit on you, people spread rumors, all this stuff. So, you know, unfortunately, like, we get a lot of hate where we're from too. But the ironic part, kind of what I said earlier in the interview, is we embrace the, you know, it's like, you want us to be the villains, you want us to be the bad guys, okay, we're going to be the bad guys. So kind of all the hate and controversy kind of helps us in the end as well.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Terrorbyte gets support from, or that you see the music get played in, possibly?
Yeah, when it's Russia. When we released the EP, like, we just put the EP out, and we were waiting to see what happened locally. And then all of a sudden, we started getting, like, all these ads from Russian names on Facebook, and we were like, what's going on? And then this guy, his name's Alex Shade, he messaged us one day, and he said, you know, I run the VK forums, and VK is basically their version of Facebook. It's the big social media over there. And he said, you know, I started a community for you guys, and we went on there, and there's, like, people drawing pictures of us and creating art. You know, it was pretty overwhelming to us. So that wasn't expected at first, but we love those guys.
See, there you go, folks. Again, like I've said many, many times, and I'll say this till they put me in the ground about music. It's the universal language of therapy. It could grab onto you when you least expect it and when you least need it. I mean, honestly, it can save your fucking life. Turn to music instead of hitting the drugs or alcohol. That's just me. I mean, that's just my take. I mean, I've been through a lot of stuff, and you've heard the Poltergeist. You know, he's been through hell as well. So thank God for music, folks.
I definitely agree with you. I mean, music has saved my life, you know, and that, to me, music is, you know, some people look at it as entertainment. It's not entertainment to me. It's actually a very spiritual experience. And, you know, there's a lot of things in life, you know, impossible things that you don't think you can get through or you don't think that you can achieve. And, you know, music is, it's like sorcery, you know, it'll give you power to get through those things. I remember in May of last year, I broke my back.
Dude.
You know, I do powerlifting, and I ended up snapping my back up real bad. I was in the hospital. I had to walk with a walker. And, you know, they're like, you know, you'll never lift again. You'll never train again, all this stuff. And music, you know, the messages in music, the emotions from music fired me up. And I ended up rehabbing myself. And I'm fucking stronger right now than I've ever been in my whole life. You know, and they were telling me, like, oh, you know, you'll never be strong again. I'm better than I was before I broke my back. And that's because of music. Or, you know, there's definitely times, you know, where, you know, you think about ending it or you think about doing that, you know, all types of horrible shit. And music is, you know, something magical about it that gets you through it, so for sure. And that's why I wanted to do this, you know, because I know that there's other people going through dark times, and I wanted to, you know, I wanted the music to be that light in the darkness that, you know, maybe you're sitting there and you're thinking of offing yourself, and then you hear a track and you're like, no, you know what? I'm not going to let them win, or I'm not going to let these circumstances win. So I completely agree with you.
That's exactly right, because it saved my life. Folks, please do me a huge favor. Get out and check out Terrorbyte. Get out and check out Worldstar from Terrorbyte. I'm telling you right now, it's cool music. It's nice to sit back and relax to, just sit in the groove to it. It's really good stuff. So, Poltergeist, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, tour dates when you go on tour, this new album, the actual first EP? How can you do that, my friend?
Oh, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just type in Terrorbyte Band, and you'll be able to find us. We have our first EP is on Spotify, so you can stream that for free. On YouTube, everything's on there. And on our Facebook, we're going to update everybody about when we're going to release Crimewave. And we're trying to get it out by the end of this year. And, you know, there's all sorts of stuff going on with it. So we don't have a set release date for it yet, but it's going to be coming out. But for now, the 4-song EP, FUFM, that's out. You can check it out on Spotify or YouTube. And we got Worldstar from Crimewave up on YouTube as well.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Oh, of course. This is the Poltergeist. I'm the vocalist for Terrorbyte, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We've got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, plus it has our YouTube link, and pretty soon a Twitch link as well. Also, get out and check out Terrorbyte. I'm going to say right now, you're going to dig this band, hopefully. Hopefully. Give them a chance, guys. And get out and check out Worldstar, their new single. Thank you so much, Poltergeist, for being on the show this evening. Thanks for taking time out, man, and best of luck to you guys.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for having me, man. It was good talking to you.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.